Ed here from 10,000 Foot View, and I have another Google Ads quick tip. So, if you're still doing ad split testing, and that could be if you happen to use multiple RSAs in an ad group, or for display ads, or for video ads, then I'm going to kind of let you in on a little secret with respect to a KPI you should be using to evaluate performance. And that is conversions per impression or conversions per thousand impressions. And what that does effectively is it accounts for both the conversion rate of a particular ad and the click-through rate. So one of the issues of evaluating just on conversion rate or even cost per conversion is that you don't account for the potential volume that ad could be driving. So, for example, let's say you have two ads, and one of those ads is driving 100,000 impressions, and the other ad is driving 10,000 impressions. So happens the ad with 10,000 impressions has a somewhat better cost per conversion, so you end up shutting down the other ad. But the problem is now you've essentially minimized the opportunity within that ad group because you're basically now only taking about 10% of the impressions or getting 10% of the impressions that you were getting before. So with CPI or conversions per impression, you're accounting for that so that when you evaluate ad performance, you're actually addressing that kind of volume potential question. So in this example that we're looking at here, you can see, and unfortunately my face is in the way, but as I scroll up a little bit, you can see that these ads have fairly similar number of impressions, and the cost per conversion is a little bit different, right? 188 versus $170 essentially. But we would assume that the second ad is the better performer because the cost per conversion is lower, and we might go ahead and shut down the first ad. But by including the cost per impression column, which we've done here, we can now get a number that expresses the total yield. And we can see it so happens that the second ad is performing overall much better, 0.25 versus 0.18. So it is true that this ad is a better performer, and we might then pause the first ad and roll in a new ad to split test against that. But again, if we didn't have this number, it could well be that the numbers come out differently, and we short sight it to shut down this first ad just based on cost per conversion. So how do you get this number into your columns? It's not a standard calculation that Google does for you. You have to add it up as a custom column. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So if you go into columns, and we're going to modify, and it's under custom column. So you would create a new one here. We already happen to have this obviously, so I'm going to go in and edit. And this is basically what you have. So CPTI is what I call it. You could call it anything you want. And the description's conversions per thousand impressions. And so why do we use 1,000? First of all, it's just that if you use per impression, the numbers can be so small that you may not be able to view them in the column. So by multiplying by 1,000, it just gives you numbers you can more realistically track. And then in terms of the formula, it's very simple. It's just conversions divided by impressions times 1,000, and that's it. And once you save this, and add it to your columns, then you'll be able to have a look at this. So, I've kind of roughly explained how this accounts for both click-through rate and conversion rate. I'm going to provide a link to my article about this, and I'm also going to provide a link to another article that goes a lot more in depth into how this actually works. So hopefully you'll find this useful, and it can take your ad split testing, excuse me, to the next level. And that's it for today. I'll see you next time.